Ms. Bone is a lot to pick with the chairman, but 2 months ago, when you had the fire chief and his partner, and you went into executive session, I asked you specifically what the reason was. And you tried to blow smoke up my tail and tell me that you didn't need to do that your book was more modern than mine, and your book didn't say that. Now tonight, you hand me out a copy of my book, which is the same as it was in 2008, and it's the same thing in 2020. It's out of the Know the Territory book, right here.
Yep.
Know the Territory. It's copied 100%. So I guess I'm a little bit miffed that you tried to blow smoke up my ass, telling me that your rules were different than my rules. And now you hand me the rules you say you're gonna go by, and they're exactly what my rules are. I don't like that. You took an oath of office to serve the people, not to deceive the people. And as far as I'm concerned, I've sat here for about 15 years, and I don't think there's been one non-public session that was deserved to be non-public session. You can't use that just as to run and hide in a non-public session so you can do anything you want to do. You've got to have a specific reason. This is very specific. And I gave those other two guys, and I gave Ed what I had drawn up with and highlighted. And it says, which specific reason? Page 97. During that public session, a motion to go into non-public session must be made by a member of the body and seconded stating which specific reason listed in RSA 91A3 is there. Now, can you tell me the specific reason? No, I'm just using this as an example. I really don't give a damn. Specific reason that when you took those guys 2 months ago into a non-public session, we all know what's going on, that you're trying to restructure the ambulance thing. That is public information. We have a right to know.
I don't remember going into public session.
Actually,
You didn't that night?
no.
If I
Well,
recall
I'm
correctly,
assuming-
that was not the subject matter that
Okay.
we were discussing.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that you have to list a specific reason that you're going into it, and you haven't been doing that, you've never done that. Now,
Well, if it's, and it says right here, Alan, matters of discussing in public would likely affect the diversity or reputation of the person, blah, blah, blah. You can read it as well as I can.
yes,
There's
it
different
says
reasons.
that you
We
must
don't
list,
have to say,
you must list.
we don't say, you know, Ed did this and we're gonna go into non-public.
I beg your pardon, it says which specific reason that you're going into it for, specific, not general.
Right.
Okay, you'd like to say RSA 91A3 2 parenthesis A, and just check it off as a general. That's a general. Your specific is the things that are behind that.
No, it's not, because then you could ruin somebody's reputation if you get specific.
All right, ruin somebody's reputation, all right, we're talking about reputations here. Now, if we had a murderer, would we prosecute him in court, or would we not do it because it would ruin his reputation?
What's that got to do with this, Alan?
It's just much of the same thing, much of the same thing. I'll give you an example. You were on the board, these other two weren't. We were in a non-public session when Alan Bethilia threatened to kill me 10 years ago, okay? You voted to do it. You thought that was a great idea, all right? We don't,
Well, that was 10 years ago. I don't even remember what happened 10 years ago.
well, I sure do, because I was wrongly served.
You know.
I was wrongly served by this board, and I'm gonna say that I want those minutes unsealed. I'm gonna ask you people to unseal the minutes of that meeting. I was there for 3/4 of the minutes, and then I heard everything that happened afterwards. I wanna see those minutes, and then I resigned. The next meeting, you fellows went into non-public session to accept my resignation. Now, I've never seen anybody go into non-public session to accept a resignation from a board member yet, but you did. And it's the main reason is because they were embarrassed about what you were doing. You were upholding and promoting a fellow that threatened to kill me. That's criminal threatening. You were upholding a criminal when you
Why
did
didn't
that.
you go to the police if you felt threatened? That has nothing to do with the board.
Yes, it did. It absolutely did. You had no business to begin with. Let's go a little bit further here on who is an employee, who is not an employee. Volunteers, such as planning board and zoning board, are not employees. So you can't use this reason to go into non-executive session, to go in there to talk to a zoning board member or a planning board member. They
So
are
do you
not.
want
in-
But the end result is you want those minutes unsealed.
I do, I
Do
do.
you want
That
both
wasn't,
meetings unsealed, or
what's that?
do you want both of those meetings unsealed? I don't know which
I
meetings.
want both of them unsealed, yes,
Okay,
yes. And I have a reason for that.
okay.
The,
I have a reason for that.
I'm
And
gonna,
I want, if you wanna say something to me and say you can't unseal them, I want you to tell me why you can't unseal them.
I'm not saying we can't. You
I'm
have to-
I'm gonna tell you right now because I think it is. I'll make a motion to unseal the meeting minutes that deal with the Alan Savage and Alan Bethelier incident from, and I don't know the date.
I've got the dates, well, Ed will have to look for them, or I can come down and go through the things, but, it was 2010, and it was before Memorial Day of 2010. Okay?
That has been brought to the town attorney's, attention, and he
Now,
recommends that you put it in writing, he will review it and then give guidance. and
all right,
stuff.
I'm gonna make a recommendation to you.
Yeah.
You didn't ask the town attorney to go into non-public session, you took it upon yourselves to, and you went in on it illegally, and it was an illegal public session. And it proves it right out here by this, by the who is a member and who is not a member. I'm asking this board to make a vote and say unseal those minutes on that. The second thing is, I'm gonna tell you that I don't want you to be involving me with your town attorney, because I have beat him twice in court without being represented by counsel. Now, do you think that he isn't gonna have a John DeSty against Alan Savage?
I think the fact that it's been 10 years and so people's reputations and stuff are not necessarily damaged. Unseal the minutes and let's be done with it. One of the main participants wants them unsealed.
One of them.
It's both of them, both of them.
Well,
The one that I
one
attended
participant.
and the one behind it where they accepted my resignation.
But-
This book makes it very clear that if you're in non-public session and you go in there illegally, anything that happens in that didn't happen, is negated, okay?
Any further discussion, Shane?
The only thing that I see is that we've got two people,
well,
and
that's, and
I-
just,
let him finish.
parliamentary thing here, we've got a motion on the floor, we should have a second before we further discuss it.
Okay.
Because if we don't have a second, it does.
I'll second.
You second it?
Okay.
Okay, further discussion?
My only concern is that we have another party with those minutes. You referenced, Mr. Bethilio.
He was a zoning board member as well. He had no business being in non-public session. I had no business being in public session. The selectmen wouldn't have been in public session, but they are too embarrassed about what they were doing to do it in public session. I want the minutes unsealed on that
I
basis.
just, as looking in, I was never involved in it, but.
Alan Bethilio run around town telling everybody in town he's gonna kill me. Now, we don't have to protect him, I'm sorry.
I'm just
I'm sorry.
saying as a town,
Yeah,
we have to treat people.
I'm sorry. We don't have to protect Alan Bethilio's reputation. We all know his reputation. He's threatened you before, isn't he?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, boys. And like I say, I'll expect to see a specific reason. And I don't like the idea that you tried to blow smoke up my ass, Leo. But I know you, so I'll take it you for what you are.
Yeah.
That's
your
not much.
opinion. You know, everybody's out there, that's fine. Next,
Thank you, boys.
That bring up dates,
Yeah, 2010 Memorial Day right around there. I'll have to look through it.
So that Jackie Chaikin, he
he's not,
was evicted from the apartment across the street. It was in pretty rough shape for his own health and safety. All the parties involved included his caseworker and caseworkers and town health officer and the owner of the apartment. I'm not sure where he's currently residing, he's no longer in that apartment, but, he has an issue that the health officer causing him to be evicted. And I tried to explain to him that by statute, he had appealed to court, the judge ruled in the town's favor that the eviction must proceed. So, and I told him I would share all the details with you, because last I knew he was in Gorham. Actually, I had to put him up in a hotel for a while. So I'm not sure he's ever going to be able to make it here. He doesn't drive, doesn't get out, and, but I can assure you that the documents, were reviewed by the judge during the appeal. It was all done telephonically, and, the judge upheld the eviction. He had to get out of there. It was, quite an infestation of a lot of things going on in there that weren't good for one's health. So he told me he wasn't gonna come, as long as you knew that, but you knew it was going on, and that's the end result. He has been evicted. And the timber tax, levy for Brenda Stewart's cut at R15, lot 34. Total tax though is $47.52. So, everybody's, trying to decide how to proceed with our, town meeting. Currently, with the average number of people that attend town meeting, the facility we have would not allow for proper social distancing. Charity and Ben had gone over and met with the principal of the elementary school. We're shown the area that could be utilized for such a purpose, and determined that the area likely was, we were able to meet the social distancing. And there's a process that has to be followed to authorize moving the town meeting from the town hall to that facility. Rather simple, but Chair, do you want to elaborate on that?
So, in talking with the principal, it looks like they have, explained to us that we could probably seat about 180 people socially distanced. So that's good. We don't usually see nearly that many people at town meetings, so that I think will be okay. In order to move forward, because the current legislation hasn't been approved through the House, it's been approved through the Senate. They have Senate Bill 2, which was to allow for postponing of town meeting, not necessarily town election, but town meetings. That has still gotta go through the House, so they'll probably end up in committee, so who knows when that'll happen. So what we need to do is, we'll have our town elections as we would normally, like we did in November, and then we would have to open the evening's meeting. And one of you would have to make a motion immediately to postpone the business meeting to Saturday, date, time, place. Of course, second it and then take a vote. So, but in the meantime, we have to advertise that that is our plan. That's the plan to do it, so that they know the intent is to shift and go to
Get
school.
as many different platforms as we can possibly.
Yeah,
Right, when it's we'll post it on the website, I'll post it right on the front page. It goes to the library, it will be in the newspaper.
Yep.
So yeah, just,
yeah, I think that would make sense, that way give everybody the opportunity
yeah,
to read it.
I've put some notices in, when I'm typing up my annual reports. I'll put mention of that in there as well, as long as you guys are on board with moving forward that direction.
Sounds good to me.
Good question.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I just wanted to mention, I've had a lot of luck posting notices on the various Facebook groups, you know, growing up in Lancaster, 256 years, I don't know if you have to do that legally, but it's brought in a lot of response from our ads, more than from the paper and stuff, so.
And we can post it on the Facebook page as well.
Right.
Yep.
Helps it get,
And
helps
then
it,
then it can be shared.
yeah, yeah, it helps it get around.
I think given current caseload and stuff, that's probably the wise thing to do, to at least make sure we're socially distanced. And, but we also have to definitely make sure everyone understands the town elections still happen on town meeting day.
Yep.
It's
Yes.
just the meeting portion will be
You
postponed.
have to, and John Frizell had made the recommendations, and he said you really have to be specific about town elections will be held this day, this is the plan for the town business meeting.
Right.
Yep.
And there's definitely two different RSAs that control them,
Yes.
so it's important.
And we can make sure there's information posted at the election site during the day
As well.
indicating exactly what's going to happen, so.
Yeah.
And that is the date being considered is the following, Saturday.
Do we have to take any action tonight?
Well, probably wouldn't hurt to make a motion to move forward with postponing the meeting following the recommendations of the attorney.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with postponing the actual town meeting portion of town meeting day until the following week when an appropriate socially distanced facility is available.
It'll be,
It's the following
it's just Saturday the
Saturday.
12th,
The
Okay.
13th.
It's gonna be like,
or the 13th, whatever that Saturday is.
The 13th.
The 13th.
That day, yeah. The next
That day.
Saturday.
This isn't a motion to actually do that, this is a
Right,
motion,
just to
move
forward.
for us to promote that that's what's going to happen.
Correct.
Right, the vote that it will make it sure it actually happens is, it'll be taken that night.
right,
Right.
Yes.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
There's some really bad job descriptions for different, staffing within the fire department. I don't think it's, do you have anything to discuss about this, Randy?
No.
Did you guys get these in your packet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have one.
I've had one from the past.
Did you generate any questions?
No, I read through it a couple of times and,
They're pretty generic.
Yeah.
There's what's unique to our department's included in that, that's about the only difference.
Looked all right to me.
yep,
And then,
So-
then includes fire, EMS, so.
right. So we need to have a motion to approve, the job description?
I make a
Yeah,
motion.
if you're accepting of these, you're.
I'll make a motion to accept the job description of the fire department.
I'll second it. You're happy with the job descriptions, Randy, that
Yes, I am.
Fire and EMS, correct?
Fire and EMS.
Okay, all in favor?
These are presented as the descriptions on some of these positions are presented as a draft.
Right.
There could be changes, if anything changes, we'll bring it before the board to decide.
Oh, well, they're making a motion to approve them, they don't sign them, okay, yeah.
Good. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. We have here, Charity M. Maker was elected by the residents of Lancaster to be the town clerk, and she asked to be authorized by the board to fill those responsibilities. Believe it or not.
As a municipal agent for the Department of Motor Vehicles.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Down the upper corner, so I'm gonna take a look. We have the equalization municipal assessment data certificate from Jason Call. This the entire document that
Yep.
doesn't say anything? The cyclical in progress is all they need to know?
Yep.
And while we're talking about that, we have posted, on the state's, site advertising for quotes on assessing for town of Lancaster. You guys are the assessors, but he would be the, that is signature of the assessors.
That's them.
Yes, there's three spaces there.
Thank you.
Randy, thank you. You want, I believe that is it.
I have, wanted to give you some copies of the natural resources inventory. Came out real nice, it's got beautiful fold-out maps. Mr. Enos has already got his concealed in his drawer right there.
I got it.
Can I get one?
I have it.
Okay, Charity, this would be for the town,
Yep, I'll put that
Records
in the,
are fine.
yep.
yeah. And, turned out real nice, it's also on page 2, you'll notice there's a web link
Excuse me, sorry.
to our Conservation Commission page, and if you go there, you can click on it and you can see all this good stuff yourself. And so we published copies, and Ben felt that any of the town planning boards, zoning boards, or whatever, could access it online, save a little paper, it'd be easy. And our further plans are to put one in Weeks Library and pass them on to the town, you know, the school libraries and stuff.
I do think it came out very nice.
Yeah, you did a nice job.
It's a beautiful piece of work.
Yep.
Elise Lawson did a nice job.
Yeah. So, health officer, that resigned?
Ted no longer feels he has time to assume those responsibilities.
Who are we gonna get to fill that?
Nobody yet, I don't know. He was going to reach out to somebody he didn't identify, but he thought she might, but I haven't heard anything.
Then I guess it's, we just need to make it official, it's no secret that you're gonna retire. So I guess what we need to do is, post in-house the position.
That's the health officer?
No, they.
No.
Town manager,
Down in.
Yeah,
How about Dennis?
He's gonna run for health
How about
officer.
Dennis's, is Dennis's position posted?
yes, I've actually filled the vacancy. Not a fish, it's been offered.
That finally brought Dennis up, I had a little housekeeping thing.
Yep.
I hadn't heard about that, who's in the interim, who's taking care of the dump, who's in charge, or doing the paperwork, and,
Bill's do.
Bill.
Dennis checks in on him, tells him, answers a lot of questions for him.
and the 5-cent can deal, is Dennis still doing that, or somebody else?
Well, if he does it as a private enterprise and will be paid, if he invoices, that's the only way that's gonna work.
Who's gonna look after the, solar system?
Well, I hope we don't have any problems. I mean,
I've had my fingers crossed on mine for 5 years now. I hope it goes till I die, cause I'll never figure it out.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else, so.
Alan already asked about the snow, that's the only thing I had.
Yeah, I just, you know, I don't think it's bothering anybody, but
No.
I'm just thinking it's getting awful hard while it's
Yep.
sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only other thing I had written down.
I can have him pick it up sooner, but usually there's a lot more than that before it's
Yep.
picked
Yeah.
up.
No, I think they're right to wait, if they got another stud coming, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if there was a plan, so if somebody asked, I could talk about it.
Yep.
All right. Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Sorry, that's what I said, anybody else?
Well, I thought you had a public and a private session, but anyway, I mean, you know. Anyway, I'm just curious about what's going on with the Conservation Commission, because I know that, I'm aware that several people have resigned, but I read the minutes, and it said that there had been some people step up, but it had been tabled, and I was curious why.
Well, we need to resolve the reason why people are leaving the board first.
Well, what does that mean?
Rob, I hate to throw it on you, but, and I told you at the meeting, people leaving the board because of you.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I assume you're recognizing me to speak. I'm not there to make friends. I have brought up a significant deficit or two, and have done everything I can to do to correct them. It's never pleasant when old habits have to be encouraged to change. I expected that. I think you specifically, and Alan Carr specifically said in the last meeting, Gene resigned as clerk because of me.
Yep.
Well, let me give you a little parable here. If I was to go to the bank and I was to ask at the bank, what's the balance of my account? Because I knew I'd been putting money in. And the bank said to me, wow, there's no money in there. There's no fund. Maybe it's not right, but you just have to go forward. Well, I'd be pretty excited about that. And then if the bank came to me, well, and I had deposit slips and stuff, and if the bank persisted in that attitude, I would ask further. I did. I was told by, in this parable, the town treasurer was the one who made the statement there was nothing there. And then a few days later, the town manager presents me with the audit reports, and it turns out that there's at least $16,000 or $17,000 there. Now, it embarrassed me to have to confront Jean about that, because she's been a very good clerk and I've known her all my life. But as an elected officer, she's expected to report on those things. And as a treasurer of a commission, I'm within my privileges and my responsibilities to ask about it. Now, if that's unpleasant, so be it. If people don't like it and they resign, that's their choice. Nobody has written, that I know of, citing me as a reason. So this may be allegory or hearsay, but I'm gonna follow the law. I don't write the laws. I'll finish, let me finish. I don't write the laws. I don't even like all the laws. But until they're changed, we have to follow them. Now, if it's a matter of personal style, that's not in the job description. I don't feel at all embarrassed. And I feel like I've brought up some situations and done my best to rectify them and correct them. I brought this commission from something that never met, never kept minutes, to something that is now in compliance with the law. Some people don't like it. The select board before me for 10 years had a responsibility to oversee it. Didn't happen. So if you know, this is a deal where there was a problem area, I'm the guy, poor guy that identified it, did something about it, and to turn around and tell me that people are quitting because of me is like, that's changing the subject, that's blaming it. Now, I don't pretend to be trying to make friends. I pretend to try to follow the rules as best I read them. And if people don't like it, that's fine. But I'm still gonna do what I believe is right, what I believe is in the rules. And I gotta tell you that I start off trying to solve things internally, asking questions, and as things go along, and you are getting responses that don't meet with the facts as you know them, you have to keep going. It's not always pleasant for everybody, but I'm not ashamed of it. And furthermore, saying that you're not filling vacancies on a town board because people might leave because they don't like someone on the board. I don't even know where you're coming from on that. That's the kind of the weirdest thing I've ever heard. So, you know, if we don't like who's our senator, then we just don't fill the Senate post? Is that how it works? No. I don't think that's an adequate reason. We advertised for the positions. We received 4 interested parties, filed in writing. We agreed to meet, talk about it at our last meeting. And at our last meeting, you and Alan Carr said, good people are leaving and you're the problem. Well, the problem, whether it's me or not, doesn't have anything to do with whether you should fill the vacancies on the board. So, there you go. That's what I have to say.
I guess, I just got one concern on the conversation. This was not a conversation that happened on this select board. As far as holding up on appointing people, that is not something the select board has discussed.
Okay, so that's just you, Mr. Enos?
This is at the Conservation Committee, and that was voted on, so it wasn't just me, Rod, that voted to hold off. It was a vote.
I'm not sure that is in the minutes, that vote. Are you?
I don't know, I haven't seen the minutes.
It wasn't voted. You guys just said, well, we're gonna hold off on that. So,
No, I don't
no
think-
minute, no motion, you're talking through your hat.
Real quick, Rob, the reason why Gene left was that email that you sent that was very condescending. Not about you questioning monies or anything, but just your tone and the way you condescended. And I asked John Accardi, he told me he left because of you. Bob Elwell told Alan Carr he left because of you.
Alan Carr hasn't left, and he hasn't, maybe he's told someone else he's leaving.
No,
Sorry,
Alan Carr.
Lucy, go ahead.
Huh?
Alan Carr hasn't left.
Right.
Instead,
And
Bob Elwell told Alan Carr.
Bob Elwell and I had a good practical relationship. We were the only ones that went out in the field and did anything.
Rob, if I may.
Sure,
Yep, go ahead.
go ahead.
What the issue is, no, you do a tremendous job. You take the time to do the research. But it first should be brought, if you're doing it, it should be brought to your board, particularly your chair. The chair will decide if you're right, wrong, indifferent, or whatever. And if there's then a vote taken, that's it.
You mean if the board voted, well, we're not gonna look into the missing funds, then
That's,
I mean, how can you pass a motion like that?
a board speaks for the board. I mean,
But they did not.
it's your,
Alan Ryder said we're gonna start fresh.
Well, never mind that. He's not the treasurer, I'm the treasurer, and I will just say,
there's no treasurer serves on that board except for this self-appointed role. We don't-
sir,
It's never
there,
been
the
a
bylaws say there's a treasurer. I was voted in as treasurer twice. It's in the minutes, so you can assert whatever you want, but you're not speaking from the regulations and rules, bylaws of our commission, which we passed last year. So, I don't know what you're talking about. Alan Carr said, there's only 3 positions, the clerk, the chairman, and the vice chairman. Well, that's not right. The 3 positions are the treasurer, the chairman, and the vice chairman. There are also other positions that can be put there in discretion. We wrote the rules. We used templates from other conservation commissions. We voted on them, we talked about them, we passed them. Kim voted, drafted them. I don't know if you happened to be there when they were adopted. Couldn't tell you. Now, John, it's interesting that just before John Riccardi resigned, the commission gave him the task to go meet with you and to find out what the status of the conservation fund was. All of a sudden, he's gone, There's no report from him. And this is all part of the process that goes on. Now, maybe he didn't wanna go ask.
I don't know, he never met with me.
That's
He
right.
told me that he was going to, and he never did.
Okay, you know, also, this is a board that by law is supposed to record minutes and report to the town. It's in the RSA's 36A2. There hasn't been a report to the town since 2011, until I did one last year. The conservation fund hasn't been broken out and listed, although all the other funds seem to be, in the town reports for at least the last 5 years. Now, the select board and the treasurer should be looking into things like that when they happen. I mean, I have a fiduciary responsibility as the treasurer to report to my board. But you guys have the fiduciary responsibility to the town to report on these things and to provide oversight and not to let situations like that develop. I've had to spend an awful lot of effort unwinding what we call sins of omission down the church. There's commission and there's omission. Now, I'm looking at 2 out of the 3 people on the select board and the town manager have all been here for that entire time, and this has been going on. You would ask if there's wrongdoing. I don't know if there's wrongdoing, but I know that there's been a dereliction of supervision, and all I want to do, and all I started to do, was to find out what the fund balances were. And it turned out to be a mystery. Michael gave me some figures, he looked into it, but, you know, no minutes, no votes. The law says you can't disperse funds without a majority vote of the commission. There are no such votes. And you have commented, well, we can't recreate the minutes, but the way it works legally is if you have to have a majority vote to disperse funds, and there's no majority vote, whether it's missing minutes or they weren't written or no vote took place, well, then they weren't dispersed correctly. Now, until I see, now the last meeting, it was discussed that you were gonna give me access, or we were gonna sit down and see specifically about the Martin Meadow Pond stuff, how all that went. You said there's invoices and everything. I don't think there's wrongdoing, I just wanna know what the facts are. And I've started over the last year and a half, I've worked on this. Now it's come to the point where I'm standing in front of you guys because the treasurer won't talk to me. And by law, the treasurer is the custodian of those funds, is responsible for preparing reports, reporting them to you. But I certainly, and the Conservation Commission, certainly is privileged to have access to those information about those funds. They printed, the money going in is listed in the town report every year.
Rob, as you know, and because you served with the Martin Meadow Pond situation, that the Conservation Commission simply accepted the responsibility as a pass-through, that those people donating monies were.
So you say, but there's no minutes or no recording, nobody can testify.
That was all approved by the selectmen, so I'm sure within the selectmen's minutes, that was discussed.
Yes, you
I've got
made
to
a reason.
imagine that the Conservation Commission, I know, were aware that it was happening.
Well, I read the minutes, I happened to be looking up about Bill McCartney's suit against you.